Back on the muster, Tuesday afternoon with Andy Muir, of course. Now, this week on the muster, we are doing the Salute to Southern Farming. This afternoon, catching up with Mallet McLean's, of course, Southland institution here in the accounting side of things. Catching up with Blair Evans, rural business coach. G'day, Blair. Welcome to the muster.
Thanks, Andy. Good to be on.
How's everything going with Mallet McLean these days? It's been a business, been around since 1933, so it's well established in New Zealand, and a lot of people are very familiar with it, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. Particularly in the farming sector, I think that something like 70% of our client base is farming. So right for those that are starting out in the industry, contract milkers, younger farmers coming through right to the older generation, and in some cases we're on to the third generation that we're doing work for. But it has changed quite a lot. Like, we are doing a lot more now of sort of advisory work, sitting down, working with people on plans, whether that be for the farming year or around succession planning. Probably the key couple of things that have probably changed.
Farm succession planning, it's definitely a big thing, isn't it? And more often than not, you talk to people and they talk about succession planning and what is the right way, to go about it.
Well, I can probably enlighten you more on the wrong ways to go about it. Look, it has, I guess it's become more involved and more planning needs to happen. Compared to years ago, it was probably, the oldest son's going to come home and that person's going to get the farm. Now, probably families want to be on the farm a lot longer working, and B, they want to look after the other children and actually look after themselves a lot better. So it does, I guess the thing we encourage people to do is come in early, have those discussions, probably when you're 40s and 50s rather than in your 70s or 80s, because a lot of the planning has to happen in the early years to get yourself in a position where all of those parties can be looked after.
What's some of the biggest changes you've seen with people as far as interactions with accountants have gone?
I think it's more than just going to the accountant to sit through an interview to tell you how much tax you have to pay. No one likes that. No one likes paying for that, and no one likes hearing the outcome. So there's a lot more. What we're finding is more planning meetings during the year, more catching up with the accountant. Those that are really engaged with it probably catching up quarterly, and having a look at the budget, having a look at the variance reporting. What have I actually spent? And this year is a great example of it actually, because particularly in the dairy, but also sheep and beef, profits are going to be up. So what does that look like for the end of the year? What's my tax going to be? Should I be paying tax now, or how do I manage my expenditure? We've seen fertiliser lift incredibly. Have you got your fertiliser on? Can you offset some of the, increase in profit with expenses? There's three things that we sort of work on with our clients, and one is we want to try and help them make more money. We want to help them pay less tax, and we want to help them get ahead faster. And a lot of that does take a conversation with the accountant, with the business coach, to work through, how do you actually do that, and what are the steps we need to do to make that work?
Because that's the big issue facing farmers at the moment, isn't it, Blair? Admittedly, the cost of fertiliser, urea, for example, you're talking big money. It's a matter of getting this profit if you're going to make it this year, and realising you're going to spend it on capital on the farm as such, or you're just going to go in debt consolidation. There's a whole lot of things that people need to think about.
Yes, yeah, and they're all, very important things. We've just got some stats out from the last 3 years, but leading into the 2021, and we're noticing in that interest costs have gone down, but farm costs have gone up. Profitability's gone up. So what do you do, and what's your own situation? What's your bank saying to you? What are they encouraging you to do? Are you okay to reduce the amount of principal that you're paying, for argument's sake? But if you're doing that, then obviously you're going to, what do you do with that money? And I've heard some say, the fertiliser's too dear, we won't put as much on this year. Well, is that the right thing to do? Should that be when, commodity prices are lower? That's the attitude you take. So it depends on each farmer, I guess, and what reserves they've got in place, whether it be fertility levels, debt, and also for a number it's actually been, what's our off-farm investment strategy? Well, what do we want to do there?
And Blair, you'll have as good an understanding as anybody in regards to how farms work, because you're working in with Jono and Kelly Bevan, of course, on a dairy farm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've got a dairy farm, 500 cows. John and Kelly have been share milking on here for, I think it's 10 or 11 years. It seems to be a while. But no, that's going really well. We've had a pretty good season. Actually, production's up, which is good. Just trying to get silage in today. I think it's been mowed and chopped. I'd mowed some last week, so a neighbour said to me, "Thanks for getting it to rain because I mowed my silage." But no, the farm's looking good and going well. But yeah, we've got in and got all the capital fertilisers gone on, and just sort of starting to gear up for winter. We're all grass baleage on for winter now versus crop, and have been doing that for a couple of years. So that seems to work really well.
Yeah, talk to a few people who do the same wintering program as that. What's the major benefit that you see?
Well, I probably don't shift the cows myself anyway, but I think, it's less cost. The other thing is you can utilise that paddock right up till May, so you're not taking the paddock out for crop, so you're still getting production from it. There is a lot, I suppose, there's more plastic to deal with, which is a negative, but it's very cost effective, and I think from a planning, I think it's a lot easier to set your paddock up, set it each day you're shifting cows, and they're not sort of standing in the same amount of mud. You're moving on regularly, and as long as you're back fencing and taking your water and everything up, I think the outcome for the paddock is a lot better. That's personal view.
Hey Blair, so the team at Mallet McLean's, like we say, you've been a southern institution around for a very long time. If somebody would like to get in touch with you guys, what is the best way to go about it?
We're at their website, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We've got a really, I suppose, a modern look to us, a modern feel. But we are in Invercargill on the number 214-4166. But I guess it's the range. You know, if you want a good accountant, we've got that. If you want a tax specialist, we've got that. If you want someone to help with your payroll, with secretarial work, we've got that. But also moving in, have been for a number of years now, in the advisory and coaching and just supporting clients and helping them understand how they get a smarter, better business.
Hey, Blair Evans from Mallet McLean, thanks very much for your time this afternoon on the muster. We appreciate it.
Cheers, Andy.
Blair Evans there from Mallet McLean as part of the Tribute to Southern Farming that we're running here on the muster this week. So if you want to have a talk to the team at Mallet McLean about anything accounting, now's a good chance to do it. Coming up.